in mag school, but you'd be spending a whole lot more money if you went and bought it on our website today than what we're going to actually offer it to you right now. So with that, you can get our brand strategist playbook along with a bonus of our 7-figure scaling academy and our 5 most popular mag school courses, which is a $500 value. You can get all that for just $497 if you go to myamazonguy.com/enroll. This is a killer deal. This is going to be available just until Tuesday of next week at midnight Eastern time. And the good news is you're protected by a 7-day money-back guarantee. So if this is something you get it and you realize this is not my thing, just let us know. No hard feelings. We want you to make informed decisions based on the information you have, not on worrying about what you don't have. And so with that, again, go to myamazonguy.com/enroll, and let's get back to some questions that folks have.
Do we have more?
Yeah, so if you have more questions, drop them into the chat. We did have a couple of comments earlier that I was going to hold on to, such as April, who said, I've been listening to you all for years. Your information is always so valuable. I just started with this, what we're doing here and have been informing them, the company that she's at, I should say, and have been informing them about Mag's info and how useful these master classes are. So thank you for being an evangelist for us, April. We didn't pay April to say that.
I actually, instead of evangelist, I came up with Magalite.
Oh, a Magalite.
Like acolyte.
Yes. So we can come up with our Magvangelist or Magulist. I don't know. We can come up with all kinds. We internally will include like mag and things like calling people Magzonians, or we've got a few different things that we've used internally. So, we're more than happy to jump into questions. And so I'm just going to prompt some other questions. So like Noah, when people are deciding like, okay, my next steps, I understand maybe I've been just focusing on, 2-step URLs, which disappeared a few years ago. But they're focusing on all the hacks and all that other stuff. Or now they're like, okay, it's not 2-step URLs. It's Rufus and Cosmo. I need to be ruthless about, showing up in Cosmo, even though, like you said, it's not even really being used necessarily. What are the mistakes people are making with, like, let's say something quote unquote boring like catalog and merchandising?
I think the easiest way to answer this, right, it kind of goes back to exactly what you were just talking about, is that people in general tend to forget the basics and focus on the flashy. I'm not immune from that either. I often will look at the flashy new thing in front of you like, ooh, shiny, right? And they get shiny object syndrome and suddenly think that's like the big new thing they need to be doing, when realistically, like, the basics are the basics for the reason, right? And usually the basics are the best. Now, when we're looking at like merchandising, I think to the point of a couple of questions we had earlier, right? When we're looking at different types of deals, promotions, coupons, brand tailored promotions, there's so many different ways to merchandise within Amazon. And the big aspect is that 9 times out of 10, the type of merchandising I'm just going to recommend to people for like the most easy of use and like versatile is the most basic. Strike through listing, right? Strike through pricing on your listing is always going to be, I think, the most versatile, just because it's also the most generalized. It's literally just, here's the price, or here's what the price was, here's the price now, right? And so that's always how I'm going to kind of push for those kind of things at the end of the day, is that you don't need to be doing all these different types of promotions and merchandising. They have their own individual purposes as to when and why you should be doing them. But if you're just really confused and don't know where to start, strike through price is always going to be the #1 place to start.
Awesome. And then when it comes to design, so for example, we talked about the main image. So that should be, in most cases, the #1 thing you should optimize for. Next, as you talked about, the #1 click-through rate has 18% of the sales, which is insane when you really think about that. But that means it's getting more traffic, because you're always thinking about like, how do we get more traffic? How do we get more people to listing? Higher your click-through rate. If you go from a 0.5 to a 1% click-through rate, you just doubled your traffic.
Yep.
Just boom, right there. So what is the next design thing that has the biggest impact outside of the main image?
The next design is obviously your infographics. So what I talked about earlier in this sense, and I see it so often where people will have more technically use case products, right? One of my favorite examples was
Go for it.
This is years ago, I think, that I was talking to somebody, but somebody had this, basically it was a mat. And you were supposed to basically like lay it on the ground or attach it to furniture. And the purpose was to basically get dogs to stop peeing inside. It was like a puppy pad, but like trying to get puppies to stop peeing inside. And so the way that basically it worked, though, is that it had one side that was very useful, and it was the side that I guess it did a shock or did something, or it made a beeping noise or something like that. Mm-hmm. But that's even more so is the fact that it looked like it shocked the dog when in reality it just makes a beeping noise. It then also had like a connector you had to put on there to like ground it so that it knew when the dog was on the mat so it could start making the beeping noise. But it also just like did not clearly show, and it had horrible reviews, right? And was talking to the person who owned it, and it was a big thing where I was talking them through like, yeah, you have to show this. Like all of the reviews were because people did not know how to use the product, right? And you look at the listing infographics and it's not user friendly in the slice. It doesn't address any of the reviews. It doesn't show how to use the product. And that's exactly it. People have a very clear pain point. They had next to no competitors, right? But it doesn't matter because their product is going to get reviewed into the ground because it's not an easy to use product. It was not easy to understand how this product was supposed to be set up or used at the end of the day.
Yeah. So basically, somebody was asking me on a live stream I did earlier this week, how do I improve from getting that highlight or frequently returned badge? I was like, well, you're gonna have to fix the product or get people to understand it better. And that's basically what it is the same thing you're describing. All right, so next up, we've got this question here from Nana. Hopefully we said that right. What are the top 3 to 5 I should get good at to understand the fundamentals of selling on Amazon? I started working with Amazon in April 2025. I'm coming up on a year here. And can be a little overwhelmed with all the shiny stuff from time to time, like Rufus. Or in another way, how should my brain logic work? Because I feel like it should be the cycle that you showed, but I see often a web instead. I don't know if it makes sense.
I think the easiest thing here, Nan, is exactly what we talked about today. The reason I talked about like the 4 growth pillars is because they're very generalized in that they have a lot of scope around them of like what is all inclusive of them, but try and just think of them as like much more micro niche. So PPC, that's one thing. Don't look at all of the different types of PPC as the whole, just look at PPC, focus on the easiest form of PPC. Auto campaign, sponsored product, right? Easiest form of whatever each one of the 4 pillars are. Again, if you don't know where to start, just focus on the basics, the fundamentals. SEO. What is SEO? It's your title, it's your bullet points, it's your description, it's your back-end search terms. Focus there always as like a major aspect. Design. What's the number one thing that you can focus on in design? Your main image and your infographics. Don't worry about your A+, don't worry about all those. Then finally, merchandising. Easiest thing you can focus on merchandising, strike through pricing, right? So break down the 4 pillars to like their easiest component of utilization. And that is where you should put your focus on when you're thinking about fundamentals.
Awesome. And I'm going to make a suggestion here too. And this is a little bit of a pitch here, but it's fitting. So like, for example, we give our team, our brand strategist playbook, which tells them these are the things to focus on. They're going to have the highest impact. Whether you use our brand strategist playbook or you just in general have learned these are the things that are going to give me the highest impact, focus more on the critical and high impact things in your business and less on the things that are low that you can get to later. So if you focus on high value impact things and then occasionally on more of the medium to low, you're going to do better in business in general. So if you want our brand strategist playbook with a discount and a lot of other cool stuff, you can go to myamazonguy.com/enroll. All right, which I did put the link in the comments, which hopefully you'll be able to see. And Nana said, Kevin, both pronunciations are correct. So thank you for confirming that. All right, so we probably got time for one or two more questions. Corey says, do you have any insight or data in sales increase or conversion rate increase once you receive the number one BSR in your subcategory?
Yeah, I think that's a thing that a lot of people struggle with is like once they are number one placement, like what do? It's like you've reached the pinnacle, right? And it's like, well, I probably don't have to advertise as much, but you kind of do, right? So Corey, at that point in time, obviously you should be able to pull back more and more on like your ads. You don't have to focus as much on like long tail keywords, things like that. You should, but you don't have to. The big thing you want to focus on is just awareness, right? So broad awareness across the board for your product and your brand more than anything once you're number one. So anytime I see a number one product in a category, it's a subcategory. You're not number one in the category, right? So you still have some room to grow in the category as a whole, your parent category, but that happens much more so from awareness campaigns more than anything and getting just like organic brand search volume where you can start taking actual market share. And of course, always targeting your competitors. If there is any chance for you to take sales from a competitor, you should do it.
Take it. All right, next up, April L says, I've been working on Amazon since 2017 and worked for Amazon for 6 years before that. Wow, that's a lot of time with Amazon. But was working for the actual brand now, working for a distributor, starting on Amazon. What is the best way to get images for a brand we are approved to sell if only one image and the brand has only one and are waiting for more of them and our hands are tied? So she's selling on behalf of a brand and they only have one image and she's trying to figure out how to go around the brand so they can actually get some sales.
Yeah, I mean, so I guess if you only have one image, I guess I'm not understanding if like you can't upload more than one, but you're saying that basically the brand itself is not approving it is what it sounds like to me, which there's not really much you can do in that scenario. If you're working with the distributor, I mean, you can always just add images on Amazon, right? But like, it's just going to make the distributor mad. There's not like anything you can do around that. Now, Amazon's not approving the images. That probably is a problem in itself that comes down to what is inclusive of your actual images. But is there a way to like get around that? Not really. I mean, it sounds like a more personal dispute between you and the brand more than anything.
And if you're competing with Amazon for the buy box, and they control it, good luck.
Yeah.
I wish I had a better answer than that. SC says, what do you think about with the product with good SEO and the customers are clicking on the product but are not buying it? Is it because of high price? What would be your strategy about that?
Yep. So two things at the end of the day that are always going to affect I guess three things more so than anything that will affect your conversions, right? So number one is obviously going to be your listing images, right? You want to have good listing images that actually answer it. And if your product is not relevant to what people are thinking your product does, you can have a great main image that seems like it's great for click-through rate, everything like that. But if it's not relevant at the end of the day to what actually the product is, and people see that once they get to your listing images, they're not going to convert. Two, your price, right? So if you're way too high priced for the category, you have to display that within your listing images. Why is your product price so high? Why is it premium compared to other products? If it's not premium in any way and it's actually like not as good as other products, then there's nothing you'll ever be able to do in that scenario, right? And then finally, the third one is a review rating, right? Is your review rating like a 3.3 or is your review rating, a 4.9 and this is happening? So those are very big swings, but the point stands of like review rating is always going to be also a converting factor. And I think that is the last kind of question there because I got to get going.
Okay, good deal. Well, with that, just a quick little reminder, folks. We have our Brand Strategist Playbook offer happening right now where you get the Brand Strategist Playbook plus 7-Figure Scaling Academy, Mag School most popular course bundle, which is a $5,000 value. You're basically getting that for over 90% off. Just head on over to myamazonguy.com/enroll, but do so before Tuesday when this deal expires. So with that, thank you, Noah. Thank you, everybody, for joining us, and wishing everybody the best. Take care.
Thanks, everybody.